Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. We are so excited for today's video. Today is a sponsored video and it is of a new group. So if you happen to be new to our channel, we are Chase and Melia and welcome. We are singers, voice teachers, lovers of song, lovers of singing, and we'd like to talk about singing.
We're also married.
Oh,
so
we are
lovers.
Wow. Interesting. People needed to know that.
Yeah, that's right.
If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to check out another video. We react to all kinds of songs and singers, and we just love live performance. We love live vocals. We love breaking down the techniques of your favorite singers, our favorite singers, so that we can all get better at singing, which is our main goal here.
Absolutely.
So today's video is a sponsored video by Alicia. Thank you, Alicia, for sponsoring. Yes, we are so excited. This video is a clip from a show called Build Up. So she gave us a little background, which is very helpful. Thank you very much. So this is a show that is a series of competitions. So they're trying to create a group ultimately. So it's singers, soloists, producers, songwriters, other people that are idols in the community of K-pop and this industry. They are all put together to be in a potential group. So there are going to be 4 singers in this clip. Park Jae-up, Neon, Hyukjin, and Lee Dong-hun. So we've got their names. We'll break this down, and I'm excited to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
I think the idea of K-pop, we talk about this all the time, but the idea that you're kind of creating...
Supergroup.
Yeah, a supergroup. It's just pretty brilliant, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Why not?
Absolutely.
You know, the public deserves nothing less than the cream of the crop.
Yes.
So this is awesome.
We're excited. Let's get into it.
우리 함께했던 날들 그 기억들만 남아 너를 지워야만 내가 살 수 있을까 우리 함께했던 날들 자꾸만 나 떠올라 너를 보내야만 내가 살 수 있을까 가지마 떠나지마 제발 가지마 사랑하잖아 가지마 나 혼자 남겨두고 제발 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 가지마 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 아직 너를 위해 바보처럼 살아가는데 너는 어디에 네가 필요한데 Oh baby
Let's pause it. I was going to wait, but interesting.
I didn't expect that.
I did not expect that at all. So, you know, I think there's a show where they have like somebody sing, or I don't know, maybe I made this up in my mind, but like they look at somebody and they decide if they can sing or not based on how they look.
Oh, sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know how when you see somebody and you know they're going to sing, you're like, I can kind of tell what your voice is going to sound like. That's not what I thought for that guy.
Yeah.
I thought that he was singing like the bass. Because
Yeah.
they showed them when they were doing the duet, and he still could have been singing the bass part, but that is not the voice I expected to come out from him.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Yes. Delightful.
First thoughts,
as well.
initial thoughts, or initial comments.
So these guys are all competing.
They're not competing. They're all like being put together as a group.
But this is a potential group.
Potential group. So they don't sing together. Some of them are soloists. Some of them are from groups already.
Okay.
But they're supposed to demonstrate. So it's like the goal is to create a quartet.
Yeah.
But also the goal is to, it's not to be like sounding all the same.
Oh, yeah.
It's to create a quartet that has like unique voices
Absolutely.
that complement each other. So what I think that's what I was going to say was I totally noticed a different quality in each of their voices.
Oh, yes.
Like you listen to K-pop groups a lot of times, and I mean, we listen to 17 a lot, and 17 has obviously 13 members. It has a lot more people. So there's going to be some similar voices, but I think where the best groups like stand out is when they have different types of voices, and you can see that happening
They
here.
complement, you know, they
Absolutely.
complement.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard. I want to.
We can keep going.
More.
Yeah, let's
I want to
keep
hear
going.
more before I talk too much.
Sounds good. I will do the same thing then.
I'm constantly talking too much.
So let's keep it a little quiet.
That's right.
네가 필요한데 oh baby 내 사랑아 이제 그만 내게 돌아와줘 장난처럼 그렇게 돌아와 항상 너만을 위해서 살아가고 싶지만 때론 그 사람마저도 힘이 들잖아 가지마 떠나지마 제발 가지마 사랑하잖아 가지마 나 혼자 남겨두고 제발 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 가지마 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 아직 너를 위해 바보처럼 살아가는데 너는 어디에 얘가 필요한데 oh, baby 내 사랑아 이제 그만 내게 돌아와줘 장난처럼 그렇게
Man, it's so hard because there's so much. I feel like there's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do I start? Do we start on the left?
I think yes. Let's talk about. I feel like there's a common thing that I'm hearing between a lot of them, and it feels like a lot of them are, whether it's nerves or what, undersupported.
Oh.
Like I feel like I'm hearing a lot of like running out of air in a phrase, or and again, this is live music. This
hearing
is
a lot also is like, we're hearing it.
I'm
sure.
hearing it with all of them in
Yeah.
most phrases.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
In
I'm
most
hearing it a lot.
phrases?
I feel like
Wow.
in most phrases I'm hearing it because I feel like what I'm talking about is, let's listen to even just this last person.
oh, baby 내 사랑아
Did you see? It was not like a straight line. I want to hear the
It was
melody again.
constant,
It was
like-
just like huh, huh, huh.
필요한데 oh, baby 내 사랑아
No baby, 내 사랑아. Is that what it is?
Yeah, something like it.
Da 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 da. Like he's not moving through that phrase. It feels like it's na ha ha ha.
I would agree with that.
And I feel like I'm hearing that in a lot of their lines. And I think the contrast, I feel like when you hear them sing side by side, the guy that wears the black jacket or the black shirt, his voice had a resonance for the first time, I think, compared to the other people that just had good air support. It had that. It's not just taking a good breath, it's using that breath
Yeah.
that I feel is what I'm hearing a lack of. And I feel like
Sure.
he did a good job of that. And I can show an example as we keep going, but that was one of the things I've noticed. That was like, it feels like there's a little bit of under-supported singing going on. But again, this is a live performance. This is also a competition.
Yeah.
I'm not with each other, maybe. I don't know. But I think there's things to consider
Pressure.
of why. Yeah, there's pressure.
Yeah.
But I am still hearing that, and I don't want to not acknowledge it.
Well, and I would agree with you.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm hearing is also, I think, has to do a bit with that. But what we're talking about is something I work on where I stretch my phrases out.
Yeah.
And I send air through the whole phrase, and the air carries the phrase. It's not even my dynamics or any of that kind of stuff. It is, whether I'm singing loud or I'm singing soft, there's not a lot of consistent air going on here.
Absolutely.
And I noticed that at the beginning a little bit, where it's like, it's beautiful. It sounds so nice, but I think it would be a little bit more supported, a little clearer, a little
I think more resonant.
more resonant,
but,
you know. But it's also like it gives you a feeling that they're uneasy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so if you just take that deep breath before you start singing, you kind of prepare yourself, and then you let that air go, it's gonna make people kind of lose it in your like they they're gonna forget you're even singing.
For
it's
sure.
Gonna sound nice, and it's also just gonna be really well supported and consistent.
I would also say that this kind of lends to it not looking effortless. Like we use that phrase a lot in singing, and I think a lot of people can say, "Oh my gosh, you make it look so easy," and not really understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Versus other singers seeing that and going, "Oh my gosh, I know what it takes to do that.
Sure.
You make that look so easy." And the reason why I think kind of when I see somebody working really hard, either with breath or with their muscles, the concern that I have is for their long-term vocal technique, right?
Sure.
The concern I have is, oh, you're working a lot harder than I think you should be because your voice doesn't need your throat muscles to hold on. If you use your air, it is more efficient and your sound is going to be fuller and resonant and more resonant. And I think when we see them working so hard, it feels more like a long-term picture than it is right now.
Yeah.
And I think also it affects the sound, if that made any sense.
Well, and I don't know, I think that some people choose that as a performance aesthetic where they're like really getting after it. But I think that if that's the only way you can do it, and if your baseline isn't one where it's easy, where it's, it's out of the way, and then you add those artistic elements on top of that really good bass, it's going to get harder. And the older you get, the harder that's going to be.
Yeah.
And I would say that, like, the last guy obviously is going to be my favorite because he sings high. And, people look at him and they don't expect that voice to come out like it does. Which is something that happens to me.
That does happen, yes.
Happens to me all the time. He, I think, had a lot of tension where he's really...
I saw that.
And it makes his vibrato inconsistent. Like, let me come back.
Yeah.
It makes a couple things to look out for here. I think all of these guys have amazingly beautiful voices. But there are some things that this is why we talk about this kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
It's not nitpicking. It's about consistency, and it's about what are the types of things that take a performance from being good to great, to blow your mind. It's not that much, but it's little things like this that bring you out of the the musical trance, as it were. So let me go back to this guy here. So did you hear how it starts and stops? And there's like some of them are faster and closer together, and some of them get a little bit farther apart, and it's like da 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 da, where it's like a speed thing. And I think a lot of it is it's really getting kind of in your way,
being held
with tense. With tension.
tense. Sorry. How is your voice?
Past tense.
Can you try it? Or no? Do you want me to try it?
La 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 la.
Can you do like what he does and then like show what you think he's doing and versus what you think he should do or could do?
Na 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 na. Versus where I don't know if you felt that it was starting and kind of stopping. La 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 la.
So I also like kind of adding to that. I want to compare the resonance, right? Like the difference that I feel like we hear when we hear people sing with tension is that it flattens their resonance. So like there's not a lot of height to the sound, and all of that is just like uber technical way of describing like
sound.
Efficiency too and sound. Like we can get into the nitty-gritty of it. That's not necessary. I think
it's not going to help you sing.
It's not going to help you sing. Exactly. And that's where you get stuck in the weeds when you're learning to sing or you're trying to sing better.
Like is this my head voice, my passaggio,
100%.
my chest voice? Yeah.
But I think even just being somebody in the room, hearing you sing, but then also watching, like when I watch him sing, I feel like he's missing like a height to it. Like it's not his mouth needing to open up. It's just the resonance. It's not being used. Exactly. It's this singer's mask that if you're a singer and you've taken lessons, you've heard about that concept. I'm not hearing it being utilized to the best that I think he could. But then you compare it to the gentleman that's standing next to him, and I'm going to play you both of their lines back to back because they sing the same line. And I feel like the sound is night and day. Like they're singing the same notes, they're singing the same words in the same register, but the resonance is totally different.
나 혼자 남겨두고 제발 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 가지마 가지마 가지마
Okay?
제발 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 가지마 가지마 가지마
So first
Do
thing,
you hear that difference?
I agree. I think there's a lot more than just that resonance piece. It's
Yes.
a different. He has a different vowel. Where it's
Yes.
Kajima, and I think I prefer the first guy's
Vowel, okay.
But I think you're right. Where it's Kajima, 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 where
Yeah.
it's really flattened.
Yes.
It's held and it's not allowed to bloom.
It's going back
So,
here.
right?
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's going back. I think
Really?
I think
The other guy?
The other guy is really forward.
Interesting.
But I think
Interesting.
that he's held right here.
Yeah.
Kajima,
Kajima.
Kajima, Kajima versus Kajima, Kajima, Kajima versus like that's so much.
Yes.
And it's literally letting. This is how I describe it.
Yes.
It's weird. Okay.
I love
Open
voice.
your sinuses. Breathe through your nose. Here's the exercise. You ready? You guys ready? Free exercise right here. Breathe through your nose and your mouth at the same time. Like that weird kid who sat behind you in 7th grade. Where it's like, right? I can
So
do both of
hard.
those at the same time, right?
That's hard.
Another exercise to get that going is, you do like a tongue. Your tongue is lifted up, and you go ah. So it starts in your nose, and you let it also through your mouth, but it's still coming through your nose. Because I think that he has a nice forward vowel. The other guy's a little bit Kajima.
You're right.
You know what I mean? But I agree. He has the resonance.
He's got the resonance.
So
And
if
his
they
vibrato was there.
together
Yeah.
made one voice, which is why them being on the same team
Makes sense.
absolutely perfect.
Also, I
But
forgot.
they can all have it all.
They can all
you
have
know?
it all. I also want to mention too that when they sing in harmony and it was like 3-part. I just have loved that. Those moments have been really sweet, and I think they blend really well, which is a completely different skill. Like like you can be an incredible solo singer and not know how to sing with another person to save your life.
Harmony,
and
blending.
harmony, exactly.
It's a skill.
Another reason I love K-pop because it encourages listening to each
my
other,
goodness.
while also having your unique, powerful voice that stands out. So you can
and-
have it all.
And that is a tough thing to do. You know,
Absolutely.
the fact that they sound as good as they do together, but then also separate. Like you've heard some, or at least we've heard some amazing choirs.
Yes.
But a lot of the people in there, if you heard them solo, you'd be like, oh man, they're not that great.
not incredible.
But it's just a totally different skill, and so that these guys not only sound wonderful by themselves, but almost even better
Absolutely.
altogether is like that's
That's a cool
that's
concept.
amazing.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Wanted to point that out. Let's keep going from where we were.
잡는 척 그렇게 두려워
Okay, can we talk about that? Can we please talk about that?
Okay, this guy. It's almost worse because his voice is so beautiful that he keeps pulling the air straight out from under his voice, where he goes,
Yes.
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Where it's like, you can have the nice, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being so careful isn't always a bad thing.
Right.
But your voice cannot work without air.
It needs
That's
it.
not how it works. So give it air.
Yeah.
And be careful.
Yes.
La, la, la. And maybe not careful is not the right word I would use. I would use
Gentle?
tender.
Tender,
gentle.
yeah, it's-
Imagine you're
Yes.
singing someone to sleep, whether it's a cat, a puppy, a Tamagotchi, whoever you sing to sleep. Imagine you have to do that in a way that's soft, tender, sweet,
Yes.
not
Careful. Well, but that's it too. Like, I don't want it to sound like we're making fun of him.
No.
I'm not. We're dramatically like trying to mimic it so you can understand the difference and like what it is we're hearing. Because what I think he loses out on is what we talk about all the time, but it's like the resonance. It's you lose out on the ability to sound like when you suck people in to your singing in a very simple line, a very simple phrase, it is like night and day difference in a performance. That is what really draws people in emotionally.
We're not talking about his voice. That's
no,
the
no,
thing.
no.
Is like he has an objectively beautiful voice.
Yes.
10 people out of 10 would vote that guy can sing.
100%.
Absolutely. One of the things that I think I hear a lot in a lot of high level singers and even people we know and people I've given lessons to is their concept of air and phrasing is somehow there's something missing there where they're using too much air and they're running out, or they're not focusing on having it all be super connected.
Yeah.
And even when you're singing super loud or really soft and quiet, you still need all the air.
Absolutely.
We've heard if you've been on the channel at all, it's all your air all the time.
All the time.
That's the deal. Do it all the time.
Do it. And don't stop doing it.
Don't stop doing it.
Yeah, let's keep going. Sorry we stopped so suddenly.
I'm not sorry.
Sorry, not
It
sorry.
had to be said.
We have to.
아프고 아플 만큼 지치고 지칠 만큼 지워봐도 참아봐도 네가 떠올라.
He can do it there.
Yeah, I think it's when people sing quiet. It's when people sing quiet they think they need to use less air, and you don't. You need to use the same amount of air as you use any other time because that's how your voice works.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the guy in the sweater.
Okay.
So he has a lot of that breathy quality that I talk about all the time.
Yes.
You guys are probably sick of hearing me talking about the breathiness.
Yes.
And it's because, I don't know if you've heard me sing, I have a lot of breathiness.
Yeah,
I struggle with that. But one of the things I think he does really well, if your voice is breathy, he uses it. And what he does is he brings his vowel really forward and he kind of leans into it. He gives it more air, which, that might make your voice tired, but let's not even talk about that. Let's talk about how great of an effect that is on your voice.
Yep.
In terms of how that sounds, the type of singing you can get. So I'm gonna actually go back a little bit to this guy in the purple.
Okay. It's blue.
Is it blue?
It's very blue.
It's depends on the light.
That there's no doubt that that's blue. It's the same color as this.
Well,
it's the same color as this and this.
Maybe those are purple.
We'll get that checked out.
아플 만큼 지치고 지칠 만큼
And even though he's a little bit like this, he goes 지칠 만큼.
Can we do it again?
Yeah, of course.
You described it as rocky, and so I thought we were at the wrong spot.
I'm at the right spot.
Okay.
But, okay, I want to draw attention to something. Okay. So this guy, and I think a lot of people do it.
Yes.
When you want to be sultry and soft, you start doing this,
and you get really,
and you do a lot of this, and this isn't, in my opinion, better than this.
That's true.
Not, it's way better.
Yeah. Ooh, that was sultry. Ooh.
That's so sultry.
Just be like Bruno Mars.
And I don't have to go like this.
Absolutely.
Okay? Because, and this is one of the reasons why I'm like, I question, because I'm still really struggling. When I sing low, I lose all my clarity.
For sure.
I am like,
for sure.
Because I don't know. I'm a man. I'm a man.
Yes.
But I cannot sing low.
I think that's just where you struggle in your register. For sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And I don't know if this person's doing it on purpose or if this is something he has a similar issue. But let's listen to it, because when he gets up, all of a sudden there's this beautiful clarity.
Yeah.
Beautiful, and it's no less like impactful and intimate.
Yeah.
우리 함께 했던 날들 자꾸만 나 떠올라. 너를 보내야만 내가 살 수 있을까.
Okay, right?
So I want to argue with you, but you go first.
You want to argue with me? I think my nigga. But also, when he really started to give it air and get louder and all of that kind of stuff, all of a sudden it's phonating. It's got more clarity. And then we go over here.
지치고 지칠 만큼 지워봐도 참아봐도 네가 떠올라 너도 나
Okay.
Yeah.
When he really gets going with his air, all of a sudden he's got the clarity.
Yeah.
So to me, that is a little bit of a, it could be an artistic choice thing. I think it's probably a technique thing where
I think so too.
I know people who struggle with this where unless they're screaming, their voice sounds like this.
Yeah, totally.
It's because you're singing with so much tension. Your air has to really push through, get a lot of speed going in order for your voice to even work.
Yes.
And to me, that's just it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
If you want something to sound breathy, if that's the effect you're going for, you can introduce a little bit of that. But to have that as just your baseline and how you sing, I think that's gonna wear you out, and it's gonna I say this all the time, it's gonna get harder.
Absolutely. The reason I wanted to argue with you was because I feel like
Just want to argue. Wow.
I just want to go there.
Okay.
I feel like the phrasing that he has compared to the guy in the blazer is like so good.
I think he's one of my favorite dynamically. Like he has such beautiful musical movement.
But I also mean air. I think you need air for that. And so I think you're right that I can hear that breathiness, that phonation struggle. I think that's more of a side effect of tension. And are you saying that like, so we're saying we hear like breath escaping and that it sounds that like, you hear that when he sings. I don't hear the sausage phrases like I hear with everyone or with the other guy.
Can you explain sausage phrases?
I sure can explain sausage phrases. So the idea that we want to sing through the phrase, you want to make it one connected thing versus what we feel like we're hearing where it's like start, stop, like a sausage, like a link of sausages. Yes.
Wow.
And, in classical singing, we're taught to sing like lyrically, and with legato, and there are terms for this, and the reason why it applies so much in popular music is because when you hear it without it, like you lose resonance, you lose momentum, you lose energy, you lose efficiency. All of these things still matter when you're not singing in a classical setting.
Yeah.
That aside, I feel like that's still proof that he is using air well. But I think you're right that I think it is a function of his tension that he struggles with. Whether it's years of bad habits, having an issue. Like there are so many reasons you can struggle with that are outside of you or just, natural. Like
Absolutely.
there's so many reasons. But I think what I want to ask you is, do you feel like using more air would solve that?
No.
Okay.
I think so. One of the things that we do and that I'm going to say I personally do is I'll sit down and I'll speak through my lyrics and I try to, and this is something I do with all of my students. Most of us, we speak fine. We speak and you can speak most of the day and you won't lose your voice.
Yeah.
But you sing one song, 2 songs, 3 songs and you're shot. You're done. And that's because you say, "Oh, I'm going to sing now. I'm going to do it. Now I am singing.
Yes.
I'm doing something totally different." And that's just what I constantly am trying to work on both for myself and for my students is bridging the gap to where you sing the same way as you speak, right? So I think that what I would do is try to get him to loosen up the tension because I think his air, I think you're right. I think his air is there, but there's going to be less of a push from your air when you get all your muscles out of the way.
Absolutely.
When it's just your air and your voice can just use all that wonderful air, that wonderful phrasing that you're giving it. But that's so simple. It took me years.
It's still,
I'm working with one of my friends right now. He's made a lot of progress in just a month, but I already know it's going to be a year before he's never going to be satisfied because none of us ever are.
Right.
But
that's not the point.
It takes a long time. You've been singing your whole life a certain way, and to kind of change that just takes a while.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to reiterate at this point in our video, none of this is to say that they are bad singers. Like I think we're starting at the point that they are all very good singers. I think this is just a really cool opportunity to talk about what we're hearing.
But here's what I love. If you're a singer at home, or you're an aspiring singer, or you are interested in singing, and you want to know about what kinds of things singers focus on, or what kind of problems singers hit. So one of the things we talk about all the time is losing your voice, vocal health. But phrasing. And I know so many people, nobody ever really thinks about phrasing. Everybody says it, but like really connecting that breath is something that a lot of people, you just have to tell them.
Yep.
And then they're like, oh, I've never thought of that. And then all of a sudden, they're singing totally differently.
Absolutely.
And they'll do it on any instrument, on a guitar, on a violin, on literally any instrument. You cue that in their head where they go, oh, I'm really going to connect all these things. Yeah. And all of a sudden, it's an amazing thing. So we're talking about phrasing. We're talking about tension. We're talking about resonance, which I think is all what singers want to know more about. And that's true. And that's why we do these videos at all. So absolutely. So it has never been to take down or pick apart or critique these amazing performers here, but just to explain and express how we would do it and how you might want to try to do it. If anything that most singers like these guys struggle with or anybody else, everybody struggles with something. If you experience that, here's some tricks.
Totally. This is, it's helpful and useful, and I think we can all benefit from these types of things.
Yeah,
so
that's why we do it.
Totally. Let's keep going.
Let's hear that again.
Was that the right note?
Yeah.
At first?
I think it was a little
sounds like the
flat.
wrong no, it just sounds like a weird note to choose. But there's a note in between. It's not na. It's not the.
That's what. And I think the first note is a little flat.
But is that the right note?
It's a half step between the first note and it's like na. And I believe the first note is a little bit under pitch. But he corrects it, and it's, he gets
so you don't think he's trying to go,
no.
Okay.
The first note, which is the half step away from the second note, the na, totally intentional note, absolutely.
Okay.
But I think it was na, you know what I mean? Where it starts a little bit low. Gets it quick. I think he fixes it quick.
Last time. I just can't. It sounds so wrong to me. No, that doesn't help. That doesn't help.
I was just saying what the note should be. So that's really impressive.
Super impressive.
Really cool. Yeah. Really cool. And him kind of doing it into like through. This big thing and the big we would say retardando. What would the slow down, the big, Anyway.
That's some really impressive resonance up there though.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I feel like
he has to.
Yeah. I mean, he's just floating. It just feels, I think we've talked about the tension that I think he carries a lot. But I think that's kind of
manageable. You can't do that.
You cannot do that with
tension up there.
Yes, absolutely.
But that's why I think it's a pretty substantial flip.
Totally.
Like it's,
and then it's air.
He's just really after it, and it's cool that because he rides straight through the break.
Totally.
With his breath. We've been talking about that the whole time.
Yep.
But I think that he's still very much holding everything pretty good.
Yep.
But yeah, he has to open up, and that's why it sounds so floaty and whoo, it's because it all comes, it's opening up through his sinus, through his mask.
It feels like obviously they are showing the most impressive things of their voice. That's part of this show. But I think what I want to point out is that, like, you know, sometimes people have strengths and sometimes people have weaknesses, and we all have, you know, things to work with, things we're working on, things we notice that people don't notice, things that people notice that we don't care and we don't want to change. Like, your voice is an instrument, but it's also something that you can directly, like, I don't want to say directly control, because that makes it sound a little bit more robotic than what I mean. I just mean, like, you can make these choices, right? Like, we are all about, you can do whatever you want with your voice. It's just, is it an intentional choice or is it a bad habit? Is it an intentional choice, or is it because you want to sound exactly like this thing?
And I hope you're never done working on your voice.
Totally.
That's I'm not done. You know, I'm not done with anything.
No.
And I'm working on stuff all the time. And I can do it better every time.
Absolutely.
Well, this last weekend, so we have, we sing it at church on the weekends. And on Saturday, we have a service. And on Sunday, we have a service. And I listened to my my song on Saturday. Melia texted me. She goes, "Man, you sounded great."
Sounded really, really good.
And I listened to it, and I was like, I was very happy with it. Don't get me wrong. But I was like, I have some stuff I want to do better tomorrow. And
which is
from
awesome.
Saturday to Sunday, I changed a couple things, kept a couple things in mind that I didn't really think about last time. And it was way better in terms of what I was trying to do, in terms of, like, I didn't need to work as hard as I did on Saturday. It was great.
Yeah.
So you know,
we're all doing that.
Doing this all the time.
Absolutely. Even when you're on a singing competition.
Yeah, and you should
in
be.
front of millions.
You should keep working on it.
Totally.
바보처럼 살아가는데 넌 어디에 내가 필요한데 Oh baby 내 사랑만
Okay, I gotta talk about the guy real quick.
Okay.
So he does something that I see a lot of singers doing when they're trying to bring things forward. They go,
Yeah, I saw that too.
So watch.
Yeah.
And it is one way to bring your vowels forward.
Yeah.
I find that when people do that, there's this weird overtone where it goes, you can kind of hear the tongue.
It's like echoing off of your,
you know, it sounds versus,
That's
you know
also
what I mean?
a technique. Like, that's also, there are philosophies of singing that some people, you know, would not agree with our approach to singing. So we're not trying to say that he's not actively working on a technique. I think the argument is why we don't prefer those techniques, right?
And I think that in both cases, we're trying to not let a bunch of space come down here. And we used to, like, sing like this literally all the time. Not to push things up, but to, like, check and see, is my tongue depressing? Is my tongue coming down? And
now you just do this.
I think, I know, now I do this and this and this. But I don't think you can get your tongue to not make a bunch of space down here without totally bringing up, in my opinion, in the way of where your sound is coming out, right? I can go, you know, hey. I have a stupid trick, my own stupid trick, where I put a tongue, you know, it's not mine, but you put a pencil in your mouth and it makes you kind of sing a little more forward. That's a cheap trick to show you something, but at the same time, learning how to do it without the pencil, learning how to do it without sticking your tongue in there is, in my opinion, a way better approach. Definitely do it when you're training, when you're practicing. I used to do this all the time, where I would speak through my whole thing and I would have my tongue out. Now, so I could, like, practice things and try things and feel what it was like to have my tongue completely out of the way. Yeah. But that's not how you talk. Right. It's not, you know, and so I think that it's a good way to bring things forward, but try to also then take it the next step and, okay, can I do this without raising my tongue now almost totally out of my mouth?
Absolutely. I'm really glad you brought that up, because I saw that too. And
then this guy does the same words and totally different vowels, because you don't even see his tongue.
You don't see it, no.
Oh baby 내 사랑만
So this guy,
Yeah.
I think he has really nice resonance, but really I feel like that really shines through at his top end. A lot of when he's just singing in the middle piece of his voice, you know, it's too far back.
I think it is too
down.
far back too.
Just a little bit brought up, like when he goes na na na, that note when he goes na na sounds gorgeous.
And that sounded great too.
Gorgeous, right?
Yep.
But the baby, it's really is.
Yeah.
And that's not to say it's not about sounding bad. It's about baby is easier. It's so much easier.
And I think that's what we're talking about. What is that? Is that the vowel?
It's vowel.
Yeah. So it's the vowel, right? Like, can you show, like, even just speaking the difference between the two?
Baby, baby, baby. Baby.
It's
baby. It's this right here. It's exactly what we're talking about with the tongue placement and how it's solving an issue, but it's kind of creating another issue.
Absolutely.
And he doesn't have one of the issues.
Yeah.
And when he gets up there, he does something that is fantastic because most people, when they start singing high, they go further back. Go, oh, baby, you know, where he leans into it and it sounds even better. I just wish he would do it all the time.
Me too. And we talk a lot about swallowing our sound, and that's what we're talking to. We're referring to the vowels, forward vowels. All of this has to do with efficiency and resonance and like the best vowels for the different frequencies we sing in, which we've talked about before on our channel. But I think it's just like, it is... Obviously, that sounds incredible. Like, that sounds very powerful and big. I think what I would love to hear him do is exactly that and bring those vowels more forward. And it would sound, you would feel it in a very physical way, you know? I think that really does change. It's like we always say the difference between good and great singing is a small thing.
It's not that much.
It's not that much. Yeah.
And I don't know if you've heard certain singers and you just are in awe, and then all of a sudden it's over and you're like, what happened?
What did that?
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That doesn't happen all the time.
Right.
And I think that these little changes, that this type of phrasing, that this type of vowel, that type of resonance is exactly what takes people to another place.
I agree with that.
Makes people forget that they're sitting in a chair listening to you singing.
Yes.
It's great.
It's an experience then, right? Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. This is beautiful. Ooh. Somebody's singing low.
When they all sing together, dang.
Man, that is beautiful. And that was really cool.
Super cool.
I love the idea of that show. I just love that. I think that I appreciate that it seems like the Korean culture really appreciates singing and good singing and kind of like maybe even the effort and the skill that it takes to become a good singer, the artistry of it. It's not just like finding the latest
flashy whatever person.
Yeah, and I think even just shows like this they're just cool. And I love all of your guys' suggestions, and when you sponsor a video, especially when it's a new group or a new set of singers, we get really excited to hear new people you guys are listening to. So if you are interested in sponsoring a video, make sure to check out the description box below. We've got a link to our website where you can do that. We love making these videos. We love helping you guys learn. We love learning ourselves. We always gain so much, and this always inspires us and motivates us to go practice, to go sing. This is why we do all of this. So thanks again to Alicia for sponsoring today's video. Thank you guys for watching. If you are new, check out another video on our channel, and we will see you guys next time.